Everyone ready? Good evening, everyone. It is 7 p.m. on November 19th, 2025, and we are convening the Cuyahoga Heights Board of Education regular meeting. Will the treasurer please call the roll?
Mr. Dobbins.
Here.
Mrs. Etter.
Here.
Ms. Prouse.
Here.
Mrs. Stecca.
Here.
Mr. Souchaki.
Here, 5 present, none absent. At this point, on behalf of the board, I would like to welcome all students, staff, parents, and interested community members to tonight's Board of Education meeting. The board values and encourages public comment on education issues. Anyone having an interest in the actions of the board may participate during the public comments portion of the meeting, and if so, please identify yourself on the board sign-in sheet at the rear of the room. A copy of the board meeting agenda is available for your review on our website. And we do ask that you silence your phones during the meeting. And at this point, will we all rise for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this point, I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved.
That was Ms. Proust.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dobbins. Any discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Prouse.
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Mrs. Stecca.
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have Section 3 presentations, recognition of Students of the Month, and of the District Holiday Card Contest. And for these items, I will turn to our superintendent.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Students of the month, where are you? Let's see. All right, how about families of students of the month? Where are you? All right, this is our best meeting of the month by far. This is our opportunity to recognize you, to celebrate what you represent, all the best of us, the best values, the best character, and you should be very honored because your teachers thought very highly of you to choose you out of all the students in the school to be our student of the month. So congratulations to you and congratulations to the families. We'll do a short presentation here. After we do our recognitions, we take a short break, take pictures, then you get to go have ice cream or stay up an extra hour late or do whatever you do to celebrate these outstanding students. So we're going to start with Mr. Detre with our high school, work his way down through the middle school, and then Mrs. Cummins is here tonight to recognize the elementary students.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Our first student of the month from the senior class, Christian Cummerland. Please come forward. Christian was uncertain if he could make it this evening, so I'm going to read what his nominating teacher wrote in her nomination. Christian is a perfect example of a student who came from another school, who adjusted well over time, and has ended up performing incredibly well academically. He works very hard, but isn't arrogant about his talents. He never hesitates to help a classmate who is lost. Even as a senior, he continues to be interested in learning new things and taking on new challenges. It's been cool to see how his confidence and his work has improved from his sophomore year, when I first had him in class, until now. Congratulations, Christian Cummerland. Our next student of the month from the junior class, Tyler Meatwell. Please come forward. Tyler is here this evening with his parents, Jason and Melissa, and the family lives in Brooklyn Heights along with his older brother and dog, Lexi. He has been attending Cuyahoga Heights his entire academic career, and his two cousins and older brother are alumni of Cuyahoga Heights. Tyler's favorite subject in school is math, and he is a member of the football and track teams. And when he is not in school, he can be found working at Papa John's or just hanging out with friends. After college, he plans to have a career as an electrical engineer. His friends and the people at the school is what he says makes Cuyahoga Heights a special place. This is what his nominating teacher had wrote. Tyler has done a great job in Algebra 2. He has a very analytical mind and picks up math concepts very quickly. Tyler has been using his math talents to help other students in my Algebra 2 class during his study hall. I am very proud of the time he has given up to these students and the patience that he has shown working working with them. Thank you. Congratulations, Tyler Pico. Our sophomore student of the month in the 10th grade, Hunter Andrews. Hunter was unable to join us this evening. Here's what his nominating teacher had written. Hunter is one of the most thoughtful, generous, and selfless people you will ever meet. Always first to volunteer, Hunter makes sure problems are solved and needs are met. With extreme selflessness, sometimes Hunter forgets to even meet his own needs as he tries to improve the lives of others. However, he is working on himself every day, and he is finding more balance as he continues to grow as a remarkable young man. Hunter brightens the day of everyone he meets, and it is a privilege to get to teach him every day. Congratulations, Hunter. Our 9th grade student of the month, Isabella Diaz. Isabella couldn't make it this evening, but here's what her nominating teacher wrote. I would like to nominate Isabella Diaz. She is hardworking and driven. She is in my AP World History class and will take opportunities to better herself and rewrite assignments to make sure she is getting it right. Additionally, she is a new member in mock trial, and she will come up during her lunch and during freshman foundations to better understand the case and work with more experienced members to strengthen her case. I'm excited to see where this young, rising scholar and leader will be by the time she is a senior. Congratulations, Isabella Diaz. We had several sicknesses today, so that was, some of these are related to that. Our 8th grade student of the month, Nicholas Zodi. Here's what Nick's nominating teacher, wrote. Nick Zodi truly embodies the spirit of generosity. He is always willing to lend a helping hand to classmates, share his materials, and offer encouragement to others. Nick's thoughtful actions and willingness to give without expecting anything in return make a positive impact on our classroom community. We are proud to recognize Nick for his kind spirit. Congratulations, Nick Zodi. Our 7th grade student of the month, Wes Barrett. Please come forward. Wes is here with his parents, Scott and Maria. He is a resident of Valley View, and he is the youngest of 4 boys. He has been attending Cuyahoga Heights since pre-K and said that his mom and older siblings also have attended Cuyahoga Heights. Wes's favorite subject in school is math. He is a member of the school's football and basketball teams. Outside of school, he enjoys playing video games with friends. When he is done with school, he wants to be an engineer. And he said his favorite part of being a student here at Cuyahoga Heights is how included you can be and how well you know everybody because it's a small school. Here is what his nominating teacher wrote. Wes Barrett truly exemplifies generosity in and out of the classroom. He consistently completes his work on time and demonstrates a strong commitment to his academics, excelling in his advanced classes. Beyond his academic success, Wes is known for his kindness, respect, and willingness to help others. As a member of the football team, he contributed not only to his team's success, but also to the positive spirit of our school community. His generosity, both in effort and in attitude, makes a lasting impact on those around him. We are so lucky to have Wes as part of the CHMS family. Congratulations, Wes. And the 6th grade student of the month, Evangeline West. Please come forward. Her parents are Crystal and Corey and Robert and Jackie. She lives in Valley View and is the middle of 9 kids from both sides. She has attended Cuyahoga Heights since kindergarten and stated that several of her relatives are also alumni of Heights. Eva's favorite subject is math. She is a member of the sixth grade orchestra, and outside of school, she spends time playing soccer or playing with her little brother. Her most memorable experience was the fifth grade picnic. And something I learned about Eva today was that she knows a little bit of sign language because of some siblings who use sign language. When she is done with school, she plans on becoming a nurse practitioner.
Nice.
Here's what her nominating teacher wrote. Evangeline West has been selected as our sixth grade student of the month for demonstrating an outstanding work ethic and a positive attitude every day. She approaches each task with determination and focus, always putting forth her best effort. In class, Eva eagerly participates in discussions and isn't afraid to answer questions or share ideas, helping create a supportive and engaging learning environment. She consistently follows directions, sets a great example for peers, and shows respect to both classmates and teachers. Eva is a well-rounded individual who balances academic excellence with kindness and integrity, qualities that make her truly deserving of this recognition. Congratulations, Eva. Next, I ask Kelly Cummins to please come up and recognize our students of the month from the elementary school.
Hello. Today I am recognizing students of the month who are both in fifth grade and they were nominated by our STEM team. So our first fifth grader is Julie Liu. Julie is not in attendance tonight, so I will read what her teachers wrote. Julie tackles new challenges seriously, eagerly, with a positive attitude. Julie shows perseverance in all that she does. She has a caring, kind, and friendly attitude that makes her a friend to all. Julie consistently makes good choices in all parts of the school day. It has been a pleasure having the opportunity to get to know and work with such a fantastic person, classmate, and student. Way to represent being CHES, Julie. And then our next fifth grader is Michael Poole. Mikey lives in Brooklyn Heights with his parents, sister Eva, and brother Connor. Evelyn. Oh, Evelyn. I know that. Evelyn. Sorry. At home, he has a dog named Vinny and tons of fish and snails. Yes. At school, Mikey says that social studies and math are his favorite subjects because he does very well in those areas. And in fact, on reflex math, he has 27,500 problems solved, which is impressive. He's also shared that he likes PE because they do lots of fun things in PE. Outside of school, he likes to play basketball, baseball, and he swims. When he grows up, he wants to be an astronomer. He knows he wants to go to college, but he doesn't know where yet, possibly Yale. He would like to tell his parents that he loves you and he thanks you for your support. So, Mikey's teachers wrote that he is an extremely caring person. He's always willing to help anyone with anything. Mikey works very hard on his schoolwork, is polite to both adults and peers, and brightens each classroom he enters with positivity and enthusiasm. Mikey consistently makes good choices in all parts of his school day. We can always count on Mikey to be caring, honest, engaged, and safe.
All right, students of the month, you can be seated. Don't go anywhere yet. All right, our next recognition is for our 2025 District Holiday Card Contest winner. Where is Madison Hawthorne? Coming up, Madison. All right, so Madison, she's a seventh grader, and her artwork was selected from several others to be featured as the 2025 Cuyahoga Heights Schools Holiday Gift Card from the Board of Education and the administration to various people throughout the community. For Madison's efforts, yes, the card that you designed is going to go all around the community. We'll get Mr. Suchaki to sign your certificate real quickly here. But the part that you're probably most excited about is you get a $100 gift card to Amazon. sure if I can display it. I'm going to try to get it displayed before she leaves here, so you're going to be able to see it.
You could probably open it up.
So,
There it is.
there it is.
Beautiful.
Happy holidays from Cuyahoga Heights Schools. So, well done, Madison. All right.
Good.
Okay, moving on, we have next one more item of recognition, the staff spotlight. And we have a resolution recognizing Jim Zerbola as the November staff spotlight winner.
All right, Mr. Zabola, you have to come up here,
I'm
turn
done.
around, and stare. Let everybody stare at you for 5 minutes here. All right. All right, so you were nominated by Ms. Sohair Solomon, who was our staff spotlight last month. I'm going to read the resolution, and afterwards I'll give you the resolution, and you get a medal for your efforts. So this is honoring Maintenance Supervisor Jim Zerbola as our staff spotlight for November. Whereas Jim arrives each day with a smile, ready to bring humor and positivity to the workplace, often delivering quick-witted jokes and keeping us laughing. And whereas Jim leads with kindness, consistently checking on others, showing genuine care and concern for their well-being, and approaching every interaction with humility and sincerity. And whereas Jim exemplifies dedication and reliability, rarely taking time off and frequently staying late or responding on evenings and weekends, and 2 and 3 in the morning, by the way, when the security alarm goes off, to support the needs of our school. And whereas Jim can always be counted on to respond promptly to the constant calls on his walkie-in phone for temperature adjustments, event setups, repairs, and countless other requests, meeting each need with patience and professionalism. And whereas Jim's positive energy, servant leadership, and tireless commitment make our district a better place for staff, students, and visitors alike. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Cuyahoga Heights Board of Education expresses its deepest appreciation and proudly recognizes Jim Zerbola, Maintenance Supervisor, for his outstanding contributions, unwavering work ethic, and the daily impact he has on our school community, adopted this day, the 19th day of November, 2025. Congratulations. You want to be superintendent?
Okay, we need to make this official, Jim, so at this point, I'll accept a motion to approve the staff spotlight.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dobbins. We have a second by Ms. Etter. She was jumping in there, couldn't wait. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Dobbin.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Ms. Prowse.
Aye.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, Jim. And now it's time for
Yeah,
pictures.
well done all. We're so proud of you. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. We're going to get pictures with all the students, with the Board of Education. You can get individual pictures. And we will be back in here probably by 7:25.
Okay.
7 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for all you do.
back. So what's next on the agenda? Section 5, public hearing and information to discuss the 26-27 district calendar. Mr. Young.
Okay. So annually, we are required to provide the district calendar for review, for discussion, and then any public comment. Just to describe the process, the district calendar is based first off of the number of teacher work days. That's contractual, 187 and a half days that I have to consider. 1.5 of those days are evening commitments, so I have to be able to account for 186 actual days. From there, we have to ensure that students have the correct number of hours in a school year. It's 1,001 hours at the high school, 910 hours at the elementary school. So we have to ensure that there's enough days based on how long a day actually is. And remember, like recess, lunch, they do not count in an instructional day. So you may have 6.5 hours of an instructional day at the high school, and it may be 6 hours at the elementary school. So all those things are factors. And you also want to ensure that you got all the holidays that are in there that are contractual, as well as maybe federal. And then ensuring that you are building enough of a cushion should you have enough calamity days that you would have to make up time. You don't want to do that. So this current version of the calendar is very similar to the one that we just had for this year. The one exception, and this is the point of discussion, is once upon a time, about 5 years ago, the days going into the fall break were actually student days, the 23rd and 24th, which would be the Monday and Tuesday next year. The 25th is a contractual off day for teachers, so there would be no students that day. After COVID, we did make the switch to having those as staff professional development days, but then that took away student instructional hours. So we've been hovering around 178 to 177 student instructional days. This calendar has 180 student instructional days in it. And again, there's people on all sides of this, and this is where the discussionary point can be is, should that whole week be off, or should we have students in for part of that? Now, I did look, through our, like the CVCC, for example. The Career Center is in session those 2 days, as well as 6 of the 8 school districts. We are only one of 2 districts that are off that entire week. And when I expanded to, I think I looked at Brooklyn, Mayfield, Willoughby, Eastlake, Kirtland, everybody's in session for those first 2 days. We're one of very, very, very few who have taken that entire week off. So, that's the one difference. Other than that, the calendar mirrors exactly what it looks like this year. So, again, I understand the pros and the cons on both sides, but certainly this is a time to either discuss it.
So what's the reasoning for those 2 days, to have two more days at school?
2 more instructional days. We take a lot of half days. The week of like December 26th, for example, middle school, high school has 3, because of exams, they have 3 early release days. You got the district track meet is an early release day. So you get a lot of half days that
Right.
occur along the way that aren't counting as full instructional days. Professional development is what we've been doing, but the model of bringing in big speakers and having all-day professional developments is kind of an antiquated model. A lot of our professional development we do, if I have a consultant, like math, for example, we've been doing this for 3 years. That math consultant will come in and they will work with first grade teachers in the morning, second grade teachers, for example, in the afternoon. And so we get one set of subs that cover those folks, and then they get to go the very next day and implement what they learned. And we know, at least I learned when I was at the ESC, if you do not start implementing within 48 hours of learning something new, the professional development wanes and goes away. So, I've got some people that I've heard some, for example, our elementary staff through their representatives said, their teachers would really love to have those days in session. Some people at the high school, were not as in favor of it. So they're like, well, we're going to leave it up to you. And so I understand it's a holiday week and that can have advantages. And, there's higher absenteeism that week. But I think about our elementary families who have to find childcare for a good portion of that week. I recognize that can be difficult. I also recognize that it's an opportunity for people to travel and visit family and things like that. So, again, I'm always in favor of kids having more instructional time, but I also, more than ever, have appreciated the family side of things. So, it's only for discussion. Nothing's being considered really tonight, and so any feedback or strong opinions, or just opinions, not to be strong opinions, just professional opinions. I'll take all opinions. It's the same as like graduation. Graduation is one of those things where since, I want to say back 2016 was maybe the first year, because I was principal here, that we moved it to Memorial Day weekend. And we did it on Memorial Day weekend every year except the COVID year, and then last year. We moved off of Memorial Day weekend. And I heard people loved Memorial Day weekend. I heard people didn't like Memorial Day weekend. And then, it's, let's do it the week before Memorial Day weekend, but then we lose senior project. And all kind, there's just a domino effect with things, and just try to make the best decisions for everybody. So, again, whatever feedback we have, I do try to look at other schedules. Like, for example, the Career Center piece is big. Because our Career Center kids, there have been years where our Career Center students, their spring break was different than the Career Center. And so the Career Center was off, but we were in session, so the kids still had to come to school here. But then we were off, but the Career Center was in session, and they still had to go to the school year. Granted, to school there, they were half days, but they were still going to school for half the day, and they got 0 break. And so that's happened a lot over the years,
That happened this week.
And that's not just
Thanksgiving,
us.
right?
The Career Center is really tough to try to match up the schedule with 8 school districts, but we try to do that. And that's why I look at the Career Center schedules to say, what's everybody else doing? Is it consistent? Does it create consistency for 50% of our juniors and seniors go to the Career Center, so that's a lot of kids at the high school.
Right.
So
And the
again,
Career
there's pros and
Center-
cons.
The Career Center goes Monday, Tuesday?
They do. Yeah, they do. So those kids are in session anyways. So, and again, it's open to feedback from everybody, from staff, from parents, board, Mr. Muccio. Any feedback, I'll take it. So,
When does this have to be finalized?
we can drag our feet on it for 2 or 3 months. But people won't like that when they
Well,
have
yeah,
to make
right.
vacation plans.
Exactly,
But
yeah.
usually we try to get it done. Last year we had it done by the December meeting so that
Okay.
people could start making plans. My wife being in the private sector, they had to start making vacation plans in January.
Sure.
And they're waiting for that schedule. In fact, some school districts will adopt 2 and even 3-year calendars so people can plan, well ahead if they're planning an out-of-country type of trip, or just having that consistency of knowing, well, here's what our life is going to be in the next 2 or 3 years. A lot of districts do that as well. And we can certainly start moving towards that. I have no problem planning for the long term. So that's all. It's for discussion,
Yeah.
Cons-
I personally like the week off just because it is a family week, but I could see that if that is for families, they could pull their kids out of school with a.
Yeah, they
no-
absolutely
There is a
can.
planned absence form, and they could get their schoolwork ahead of time and plan that, so.
And we have done that. We've done that in the past, back before this. So, but prior to COVID, that's something that we did.
And I understand the extra instructional days and having that, so,
Yeah, it also seems like we're contracting teachers to be here those days, and if professional development is not, if you don't need those 2 full days necessarily, the way
We're
they-
getting it in different ways.
Yeah,
We're getting
that's what I
professional
mean, like-
development in different ways now than we ever did before.
It seems like then it'd be better to have students here. I also, live in a 2 working parent elementary school household. My kids can't be home when I'm not there. And so I'm fortunate because I live in a community that offers childcare, but a lot of them don't, and so it is hard that week, and then they're back a few weeks, and then they have another 2 weeks off. Like, it is a challenge, I think, for, those of us that, can't be home with our kids all the time, so. And I think, you guys always do a really nice job of putting the students first, of instructional time, they need to be here, maximizing that, and trying to balance everybody, but also, like, you're just not gonna make everybody happy, and that's okay.
Well, and that's why it's the same with like calamity days, for example. If the roads are bad and your child drives and you just don't feel it's safe to leave the neighborhood, then keep your child at home. You get that right to do that, and we'll make the call, but then you get to make the call on whether it's best for you. And it's the same with travel. I haven't done it often because I don't miss much school over the years, but there were times that, when I ran the Boston Marathon, I pulled my kids out of school for 3 days. We're going to Boston.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience for those kids, and they got to make up their work, and you just have to make those calls throughout the year, not just during the holidays. So,
Okay. We done with that discussion? Anything else on it?
anybody in the crowd? Comments from
Are you
visitors?
parents of elementary school children,
Yeah.
students? Mrs. Pajeska, Mr. Rossi, do you have any thoughts?
I see no reason why they shouldn't be in school during that time.
Okay,
I think it helps
Mhm.
the parents.
okay.
So like you said, shortly after Thanksgiving, also we're upon Christmas, and we're scrambling for, finding daycare if we can. And if we don't get the forms quick enough from the community, then we miss out on that because they only have so many spots too.
Okay.
And everyone's looking for those spots because of elementary school and specifically, those 2 days before, the beginning of the Thanksgiving week.
Okay.
So is the primary reason though childcare, or like if an increase in instructional time for the kids?
What's that?
Your reasoning?
The re-
Would use like, childcare as a reason for?
I mean, that it's a reason. I think, I do have a lot of people that feel pretty strong about the more hours we can be in front of our kids, the better chance we have of closing those gaps and learning that one extra thing. Now, I get it. It's a high energy week, right? Kids are ready to be on break. Adults are ready to be on break. But that still doesn't mean learning can't happen. But childcare was a big issue for redoing the calendar a couple years ago. If you recall, we had parent-teacher conferences at the elementary school that coincided with that long break. And I think there was a period that one year where your elementary students were out of school for 12 straight days, counting weekends. And so that's why we shifted parent-teacher conferences differently, because that was a big burden on people. That like childcare was the number one reason why people were expressing concerns. Maybe 3 years ago, was it?
Yeah.
So, it is part of it. I mean, we're not. You can either say we're not a babysitting service, or we are the best darn babysitting service on the planet because we teach the kids while they're here. I mean, school's important, but so's family.
Yeah, right.
One question I did have about the calendar, I don't remember the reasoning, but conferences district-wide were shifted towards the same days, and now they're split.
Yeah, that I would have to talk to the principals about. I know, so middle school, high school, I think they wanted to have something closer to, because grades are a little bit more, they're more critical over here at the middle school. They're tied to eligibility. They can be tied to class rank and things like that as well. So I know getting it closer to when the quarter ended is a time to give more immediate feedback as opposed to waiting 2 or 3 weeks. If there's something that needs to be behavior or an academic gap that needs to be addressed, waiting another 4 weeks so they're halfway through the second quarter is a little late to start addressing that when you can have a little bit more immediate opportunity. But then there's that also that when you have children in multiple buildings and everybody's having conferences at the same time, especially when, like at our elementary, they schedule conferences for you, that can be a little hard to juggle. But that's something I can talk to the principals about as to, elementary has stayed the same. They're on the exact same correlating days next year. Middle school, high school moved up a week. That's what you'll notice with those conferences. So I could get more information before the next meeting.
Okay. Anything else on this item? No? Okay. So where are we here? That was on the calendar. So comments from the public? I assume no one has signed up because there's essentially nobody here, other than ourselves and our board members elect. So moving on to treasurer's business.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple items tonight. I ask for items 7A, 8A through 8E for approval tonight in the consent agenda.
Okay, I'll accept a motion for those items, please.
So moved?
That's Ms. Decker.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dobbins. Any discussion? Well, go ahead, Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you. We have our financial reports, bank reconciliation and payments for the month of August. I've been working today since I got back from Capitol Conference on September's reports. We've actually closed out September a number of weeks ago. We're working on closing out October. So my goal for December is to have those financial reports ready. Our new vendors, we have 3. So just going through those, we have Quadient Finance. That's our new postage meter contract. That's on Mr. Young's side. Later on the agenda, we're estimating that amount to be $700 from the general fund. And we're going to swap out the current machines for these new machines that we would have. Number 2 is going to be Spice Catering. That's catering for prom, estimated to be $10,000 from the class of 2026. And then we have Pulse Productions, number 3, for trophies for our athletic department, $1,200. That account.
The meter itself is just the meter, has nothing to do with the amount of postage, correct? Postage is a separate,
Correct.
okay,
correct.
it's a meter,
The
it's
actual
just a
machine.
device.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we would load all the money on there for the postage that we would have, and then we drain that money down. So buying stamps, think of it that way. C, we have purchase orders over 5,000. I click on our lead sheet, we have 3. The first one is College Entrance Exam Board. That's for AP testing for the 25-26 school year, approximately 166 exams, $10,390 from our general fund. Number 2 is Language Learning Associates, that's LLA Therapy, and that's for a substitute occupational therapist for the elementary school, or excuse me, the ESC staff member on maternity leave, estimated to be 45 days. We were unable to get a available sub from the ESC, therefore we went with LLA Therapy to provide a sub. Now we have a contract in place that the board approved back on 7/16/25, and the cost for that position is $74.97 an hour. George, did you want to talk about that at all or add anything?
Yeah, sure. Our related service providers are one of the most challenging people to hire in general. So this process, we attempted to post a position, to hire the ESC at a different rate, but you really kind of get in a scenario there where they're very hard to find people with that skill set, and especially from maternity leave. So it's such a high demand job. Typically, they're getting hired on full time. So we're fortunate to have somebody get LLA became available. Has a lot of experience and is actually a trainer of OT at one point. So they'll help to cover that while our employees out on leave. We're not bringing them in every single day, but they're a couple times a week. Our people are in place, kind of thoughtful planning to provide the supports for our students with IEPs that are in place. There's some other supports that we would normally provide to all students through the MTSS process as well. That may need to be scaled back a little bit, but again, it's always a challenging process from positions with good substitutes.
And our third one is Bureau of Workers' Compensation. So that's going to be for our premium installment from the Bureau for next calendar year. That's an estimate, $60,000. I anticipate it's going to come in a lot less. And just for comparison, it was approximately 21,000 last year. So the 60,000 goes into the 5-year forecast. So again, if we don't spend it all, it just goes back into the pot.
You may have to make a correction because it says 1/125 to 1/126. Do you mean,
Oh.
do you mean that to be 1/126
Yeah.
too? Okay.
Yeah, I'll go back and do that. Donations, letter D, we have one, and this is from the Cuyahoga Heights PTO for 4 e-readers with screen protectors, a value of $275 each. So we are very thankful from the PTO for that, and we will put those to good use. And then E is going to be a then and now certificates. Keep talking that the golden rule is you can't purchase anything without a purchase order. Can't purchase anything without a purchase order. So I keep hammering that golden rule in, and I think we're getting there. But we have one then and now. This is for the for Dean's Greenhouse, the senior class fall mum sale. They had ordered that before a purchase order was approved, so that's why we have that on tonight. And those are the items I have for approval.
Okay, very good, thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Ms. Prowse?
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Moving into section 10, treasurer's discussion and comments.
Just two tonight. The property tax issue, so Mr. Young and myself had a call with our legal counsel today. And Matt, did you want to give your thoughts on it? And I'll wrap up.
Things are moving in our direction.
Okay.
It would have been nice to have had better communication along the way, and I think Lisa Rocco, who's the person at the Budget Commission we've been working through, has felt the pressure from a lot of different angles on this. And David feels that we're moving in the right direction. He feels that the public embarrassment alone is enough to continue to drive them to reconcile this. It seems like maybe they're having a more difficult time coming up with the number that Matt is so diligently asking for. Like, Matt's asking for a target. What's the target we need to hit? What's the amount of money that you think we should have gotten so that we can say, if we don't get that amount of money, why? And we can explain it. And we have good rationale behind it. And that seems to be something that he's going to have a difficult time getting, at least initially. So, but we're getting closer to reconciliation of this. Do you not agree?
No, yeah.
Getting
definitely
closer.
do. So, some of the things I took out of it, first off, we sent our letter November 6th, which was almost 2 weeks ago, to Cuyahoga County. And we can see on the admin content all of the people that were included in that communication. So Michael Chambers, the fiscal officer, Lisa Rocco, director of operations for Cuyahoga County, the mayor of Valley View, the clerk treasurer of Valley View, the solicitor of Valley View, the director of law for Cuyahoga County, and then we go to the executive administrator for the Division of Tax Equalization, DTE, at the Ohio Department of Taxation. We have the assistant county prosecutor at Cuyahoga County, then ourselves. That was, again, almost 2 weeks ago, and we had an update today. What I took out of the update was that, Cuyahoga County continues to, feel the pressure from our legal counsel, so much to the degree that I think it's upsetting both Cuyahoga County and the Department of Taxation, which, I'm okay with. Because it is an urgent item for us. We don't want to get forgotten. We don't want to get put to the side. We, want this issue to be addressed. We're applying pressure to get progress. And like Mr. Young is saying, they don't know the number. They flat out do not know the number. Been asking, to get the number, they don't know it. They still don't know it today. Which
But
is,
you know what you think it is.
yes.
Okay.
So,
Which probably
yeah.
correct.
It's not
But
really a
they
thing, I
don't-
don't think it's a thing.
Yeah, they don't know what it is, but, because I keep saying, I'm trying to use analogies, and I'm like, if we're a plane landing in Las Vegas, that's our goal, to land in Las Vegas. We're taking off from Cleveland. We have a whole plan in place. So if we have to figure out what the number is. So if it's, let's say, $2 million, and we should normally get 17 million. So next year, we should see 19
19
million
million.
as the goal, right? That makes sense. Just so we know we end up with the right amount. So I keep using many different analogies to get there, and trying to have everything organized, so when it's this time next year, we can say, yeah, we landed the plane in Las Vegas. We got there, so we know that the end goal was reached. So it just seems like, we haven't even, we're still in line at the airport, if we're using that analogy. So, but I talked to our legal counsel and I said, should there be a drop dead date that we have in place that we should explore, litigation as our next, part in the process? And, I think legal counsel said, not at this point in time, still give them some time to fix before we go that route. So.
I said this last meeting, the tax bills are gonna be going
I
out.
know, and that's,
If you
Right.
don't make the correction,
Yep.
then this mistake is gonna be made a second time.
yep, and that's why, we're talking to our legal counsel, and it's,
Well, the correct tax bill will go out, they won't under-collect next year.
they
right?
shouldn't, right, the
Do we know
valuation
that
should
the
be
correct
correct.
one's gonna
Well,
go
yeah,
out?
because
Should
they,
Because they can't even,
yeah,
they
because
can't figure
clar-
out the number yet.
Right.
Well, no, the clerical error won't be made again.
It's that it won't necessarily include what they were supposed to pay but didn't, like the difference.
Right.
So
Right.
It
So
will be correct going forward, but just not corrected.
right, we should see 17 million, if we're just
Yeah.
using this analogy, next
Right.
year. And we still don't have the 2 million resolved, that's the hope.
Yeah.
But there should be some fairness to these taxpayers, these commercial businesses who paid their taxes, paid the bill they were given, and now they need some kind of explanation
Oh, yeah? And that was in our letter too, so we asked
to
in
go
our.
forward
Right.
so that the correction can be made.
Right. Oh, yeah. I'm asking our legal counsel, I'm like, why haven't they just scheduled the time, all of them, to get into one room, lock themselves in a room for 1 to 2 hours, and hammer all the math out, and then come out with,
And keep in mind, because our effective rate was wrong, that means the taxes collected in Cuyahoga Heights and Brooklyn Heights was also wrong. So it's not just the businesses in Valley View, it's also the businesses in Brooklyn Heights and Cuyahoga Heights.
And
Unless
do they know that?
No.
Okay.
Unless they plan to, like, send a separate tax bill, like, here's the collection for the remainder of what you
I
owe.
asked that too. And I said, why don't we, separate it, do, omitted taxes right now in and of itself, so we know we collect that $2 million, let's say, for example, and then next year, we're back to our baseline of 17.
Right.
Doesn't sound like they're gonna
When I
do that,
presented
though.
that to our legal counsel and asked, that makes sense to me. The response I got back was, well, the way that they're looking to do it is to roll it all into one. I said, well, that doesn't, make landing the plane any easier.
And honestly, the longer they wait,
Yeah.
then the longer those businesses could change out, and they're not gonna pay, why would you pay or less taxes if you weren't the business owner then? If they change out any of these businesses, right?
They brought that up too, right?
And we know, right.
Businesses changed hands.
And
Yeah.
we know,
We're gonna lose out.
from talking with legal counsel, Michael Chambers, was in direct contact with the tax commissioner chief at the Department of Taxation. So, the top people are talking to each other about it. Our legal counsel is, getting pushback because he's applying pressure to both the Department of Taxation and Cuyahoga County. And actually, Cuyahoga County called him, I believe, today to say, we're working on it as fast as we can, but he keeps applying pressure. So we are, tightening the screws, in essence, to get that progress, and we'll continue to do so. So,
Okay.
So it's a possibility that the other three villages don't know how much they were shortchanged. Is that, or do they?
I asked, as legal counsel, I gave them 8 years' worth of, revenue per levy. I still have not gotten that back yet from Cuyahoga County. And, he basically flat out said that they don't know the number. So that's what he's telling me, who he's in contact with them. So, we're still waiting to have a meeting scheduled with them where we can all talk. So it's just the wheels in motion. I guess they just don't turn fast. And, and again, that's why I was asking, well, what's our drop dead date, for us here that we just want to go to litigation. Let's, I kind of got, Matt, we're not at that point yet, but we see where that's at.
Seems like we're really close, though.
With me, I, I have my own thoughts on it, but, going to legal counsel's pace on this one.
And we've also, I mean, I don't know if I should say this, but we've also not alerted the media either. And if we had alerted the media.
Well, that's what's the next step, probably, according to David.
Yeah, I think everybody's trying to not embarrass them, any more so.
Because your first thought is all the residents, they made this mistake on my own tax bill and your tax bill and Cuyahoga County in general's tax bill, right?
Yeah, what else did they mess up? And then they get
Exactly.
challenged by 600,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
been talking about this since, what, September, and they can't figure out this one line item?
So I'm asking all these questions to our legal counsel, and he's kind of, saying, calm down, Matt, He's like, they're willing to, they've been, every time we talk to them, everything that they've said to him, they're willing, they're willing, and they're trying to work on the issue to get this fixed. So it's not that they're not, they keep saying that, but I don't know if it's a matter if they don't understand and know how to fix it, or it's so complex that it just takes a lot of people. But that's where I keep saying, well, why don't they just get into a room, schedule a time, we'll come.
But they're supposed to be the experts in this. The longer they take, they're experts.
Isn't there a piece, though, with to adjust the effective rates requires, legally, it requires something special at the Department of Taxation. It's not as easy as saying, let's just plug this number into our spreadsheet or a program and reissue bills. Like, you actually have to get approval by the Department of Taxation to actually change those rates. That they did arbitrarily, but is not reflected that way legally. So I think there's some of that too. Lawyers like their money too.
But those are the kind of updates they could provide. You ask for an update.
Exactly, that's
Say,
what we asked
We've done this
for.
and we've submitted this and here's,
Exactly.
Well, right, that was your point, your main point, that one of our frustrations is we have not gotten weekly updates from Cuyahoga County saying this is where we're at in the process. So that's another point of frustration, and that's why, 2 weeks ago, when we were discussing sending the letter, we had not really received updates at that point in time. So, it's 2 months, maybe closing at 3 months now that we've been, at this point. We do know that we're under a time crunch, in essence, to do that. However, the law does allow for them to just do it on its own. I keep going back and saying, well, the easiest way is just separate. Do the omitted taxes. We have our number. We know we're going to Vegas. We're going to land the plane. And next year's going to be the baseline. Should be 17 million. And then at the end of the day, once we're in Vegas, we know we collected 19 million, and we're trued up. To me, that's the easiest way that makes sense. And I keep trying to say it in as many different ways to all of the people as I can. But we keep working on it.
So Mr. Muccio, Mr. Young, I've listened to this conversation, and I'm frustrated because I realize that that this is a significant part of our budget. It may not be for other entities, but it's a significant part of our budget. And we have been shortchanged by anyone's measure, by anyone's account. We've been shortchanged. And so I think the onus is on the responsible parties to step up and make us whole sooner than later. And I'd heard Mr. Seed talk about an omitted tax approach as a way to, as you say, to true up this situation. And it seems that unless that happens fairly quickly, fairly soon, that the problem could be magnified or muddied because of the ongoing issuance of the next, semi-annual tax bills. And so it would seem like it's just going to compound itself unless we can get action. So I'd strongly, recommend or support you and anyone else who's willing to pursue a more interventionist approach with the county. And I understand that there's only so much we can do, but it is a big part of our budget.
Absolutely. I hear you loud and clear. And, Mr. Seed sent numerous emails today to Cuyahoga County. So, we're approaching it that way. And also, I, reached out to the state auditor's office. And, from talking with legal counsel, state auditor's office is also inquiring to Cuyahoga County about this issue. So that's even more pressure. From whatever. So,
Well, it might I'm not trying to create issues where there are none, but I'm wondering whether there, at some point, there might be an audit concern about materiality and financials if we think that if we're short a
Absolutely.
significant part of our annual
Right,
operating
we-
budget.
Right, we have local government service, LGS, preparing our GAP, our financial statements. So I did mention, and include that in both the MD&A, which is management discussion analysis, and our notes section, so two different places. We'll see if they feel that it's necessary to go in there. I feel it's material that it would be impacted. But, we have only one number, my number.
Right.
We still have no numbers from them. 2 months out.
So what does our other councils, what is their opinion, the Ennis Britton folks, Mr. Stedronsky?
Yeah, they've essentially agreed with Burns and McIntyre and Seed almost every step of the way. I don't think they've
Okay.
not agreed with them. But they've been kind of secondary, I guess, as co-counsel
Sure.
to the primary council, which has been Burns and McIntyre and Seed. So, we have all hands on deck. And,
I know you're pushing as hard as you can, and I don't mean to put undue focus or
Oh, I wanna
strain
drive
on
by
you,
it. No,
but I'm
Right.
frustrated because of my perception that people may not realize just what a significant part of our operating
Oh,
budget
yeah.
this represents.
I mean, half of me was thinking when I went down to Columbus, I could stop by the Department of Taxation and just,
Sure.
make a nice, how are you guys doing? And as well as Cuyahoga County, they have their board meetings the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. So next Tuesday is going to be a board meeting in Cuyahoga County. I'm a resident of Cuyahoga County as well as everybody here, so you can just, attend your personal capacity. But, just showing up to those, maybe that puts some eyes out there or whatever. But again, we haven't really gone that route, as Mr. Young's saying, to make it a broader, louder issue at this point because, we've been trying to play nice in the sandbox and say,
course.
And David's recommendation is for us not to plaster them on the news right now.
Okay.
He did advise us, like, let me do my thing
So
here.
what's the timeline for the omitted tax process? And I say that absolutely, and then in the context of the next semi-annual tax bills that are coming out.
Right. When I kind of asked that question to David as well and said, well, why can't we just, omit like a special tax assessment on these omitted taxes to collect that? He made it sound like that's just not the way the system, that it's ever worked.
Okay.
That they don't go that route, that they just rolled in with the, semi-annual that they would have. I said, well, the law, from, my interpretation of it allows for it, and I think he agreed with that. But, we're letting him, we're leaving it in the hands of legal counsel at this point to see where we go from there. And, I imagine if we don't, a week or two, legal counsel will provide us guidance with, another route that we'll go. As best we can, we'll take guidance from them and then go that route. But, he's just as frustrated as we are, maybe even more so.
Sure.
Too, because he's kind of out front of it and dealing with them too. So it's,
I mean, are we getting to a point where we may have to approach the county and say, this is the money we were supposed to get, and now we're gonna start charging you interest on
Yeah.
the money because this is money that we didn't have in
well,
our
I think there's even,
budget?
and Matt, tell me if I'm wrong on this too. I think there's even some, I'm trying to get clarification that everybody from the county agrees that they owe us money. Because there was one person at the county who said, I think it's possible we may owe money out of this whole situation. And that's when we were like, what? And even from hearing from other people at Cuyahoga County, they kind of cringed at maybe that one person saying that. But it just, makes me think that, not everybody there is on the same page yet. So I think they're all gonna have to get on the same page and then tell us, this is what we're gonna do, this number, this is how we're gonna fix it. This is steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or in conjunction with the Department of Taxation. These are how the tax bills are gonna go out. This is what you're gonna see as it goes. I mean, that would be perfect world for me. of it, that's how I would do it. So it's kind of, you know, frustrating as I'm watching all these people fumble it around, to be honest with you, where I'm like, just let me do the whole thing. We go in there, move out of the way, because you're slowing it down. I can't do that. I have to just sit back and watch them fumble around, and drag their feet, waste more time, and maybe even make more errors. So at some point, I'll start calling it out and seeing it as like. see.
Okay, so in my past, when I worked at Channel 8 and I was involved with like our election coverage and everything, and even in some dealings that I've had with my real estate, the date December 16th sticks out to me
They
as
said
the
that.
date that
They
they
did.
have to know.
They did.
That's when you will find out exactly what your tax bill
Yes,
is.
that is the date.
So we're a month away.
Yes.
Okay, so December 16th is the date. So
Yes.
between now and December 16th, they need to figure this out.
Right. But they do have some, correct, you're absolutely correct, and that's what legal counsel said, December 16th. But I feel like, in law, they're allowed to, you know, do special aspects of it, to levy omitted taxes. So, it seems like that there is that drop dead date of that, but then it also seems like, well, they have more power to fix this in other ways that maybe they haven't explored or ever have used. So, and I'm not sure this has ever really come up, so there's no roadmap for them. I don't know.
Oh, I'm
But it makes me really concerned, like,
It's kind
if
of
we didn't
funny
find
it's
it
come
and
up
bring it up to anybody, I don't think they ever would have known, never.
Yeah.
And this, yeah, so.
There's
So-
no chance.
Our next meeting, I think, is December, what,
10th.
right?
Correct.
And they've not made any kind of response to the letter or to the emails, really?
Yeah, I think if we're not hearing, you know, solid movement, we don't have, you know, good updates to bring to the board, I'll call another meeting with legal counsel to update the board just on where we're at. at
And
that
I
point.
think you should have David tell them, like, the board's making a decision on December 10th. We need to have some kind of, something to tell them.
That's what I did today. I'm like,
Because
Yeah,
it's, obviously, we've been talking about this,
Uh-huh.
and there's been no update, you're telling us the same thing since September, really, in October. I think our end of October meeting is the exact same thing.
yeah,
And we decided to send a letter, which he did, and they really have not done anything since then.
they've been,
So
they've been
David-
talking, right.
David may have to give them like, I know he's friends
Right.
with the one, or knows the
Yep.
one very well.
Yep.
So he may have to give them a little nudge that first week of December and say, we sent you a letter, and the board's really impatient, and their December 10th meeting, they're gonna make a decision of a next step of
Absolutely. Yeah.
news, litigation,
Yeah.
something.
I mean, we.
So
yeah.
you may wanna respond.
I agree 100% with you.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's why I was telling David, you know, what's our drop dead date to look at this, that we don't see, you know, good progress, good movement, that we say, let's go to litigation. Because I'd love to get in front of a judge and say, this is how we've been harmed, this is the whole situation that happened, and let's just put the facts out there and say exactly what took place. And, you know, I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. I mean, we went to them and said, yeah, we're gonna play nice in the sandbox, you know, we noticed an error, you know, we've been explaining it to you. It took a while to explain the error to them, for them to understand it. But, yeah, it's, yeah, we're definitely progressing to that point, but the higher-ups have been talking. So it's not that they haven't, from what I've been hearing, all of the higher-ups have. And, you know, one of the higher-ups sent an email on Friday, I did forward that to the board, that was in that email chain too, so he's, you know, I think he's getting, you know, equally as frustrated maybe because he wants to have it, you know, handled. I'm sure he doesn't want any more embarrassment to come from this, so, but he, you know, he's still at the mercy of another agency, Department of Taxation, to have their cooperation in this too, so, you know, it's turning out that it's not quite as easy as just, you know, taking the eraser and erasing the two, you know, and the problem is, oh,
Yeah, but, and if they've had months to here to do something besides acknowledge it.
yes. And that's my thought too, when I said, how come they can't lock themselves in a room for an hour and solve this? And David actually said the same thing. He's like, I agree with you. I don't, you know, so that doesn't make sense to me why they haven't, but, you know, we've been, you know, I think we've been doing as much as we can without kind of accelerating it to that next level of really bringing in the media and having that pressure put on them. So I think we've kind of maxed out where we're at to, as a team, decide that, next board meeting if we want to. And then, next item I have is just a quick reschedule for Records Commission, half hour before our next meeting. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Anything else for the treasurer? All right, moving into superintendent's business.
Wait, excuse me, so you want us to be here at 6:30?
No,
At
No, that's-
7?
The meeting's at 7, the regular board meeting.
That's
the
the
Records
superintendent,
Commission.
treasurer, and board president.
Oh, it's not
okay.
it's not for all of us?
Yeah.
Okay,
You can come if you want.
You're more than welcome, but you don't have to.
okay.
Where are we going to do that? We might as well sit here because
Right here.
we're going to need to be here anyway in a few minutes after that, so it shouldn't take us more than 10 or 15 minutes. More of a requirement than a,
Well, if we were purging a lot of records,
yeah.
it would take quite a bit of time, but we don't plan to do that, so it's going to be a quick meeting.
Okay, good. Thank you.
We save everything.
All right, so now I guess we can move into section 11, superintendent's business.
All right, for consideration, I have items 11A, 12A, 13A, and 14A through D.
Okay, entertain a motion for those items, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dobbins,
Second.
second by Ms. Proust. Mr. Young.
Okay, so 11A, this is to approve the Model UN overnight trip to Columbus in December. It's the 7th through the 9th. I do want to clarify, because last meeting we had a conversation about Model UN, and I've learned a lot since then. There is the state competition, and then there are local competitions. Those local competitions are not on the same plane as the state competition. And about 4 years ago, we committed as a school district to Model UN. We budgeted $4,500 a year through Mr. Muccio's accounting for the purpose of sending our students to this state-level competition. And, having talked to the advisors, several students, when it was presented to them that they may have to pay the $350, entrance fee plus hotel room and so on and so forth, a lot of the students weren't going to be able to go. And I found that out the next morning after our discussions here at the last meeting when we said, no, the kids are going to have to pay for it and then they'll reimburse the school. Turns out we have been budgeting $4,500, so students still have to come up with $100, which is what they've had to do the last couple of years, somewhere in the $110 to $120 neighborhood. And so that is going to increase the participation by quite a bit. And then I also expressed I would like us to still go to the local competition because it is very low cost to do that. And for students who cannot travel still or do not want to travel, families don't want them to travel overnight, this still gives them a local opportunity to compete. So that's an explanation of Model UN, and this is just to approve the overnight trip, which they've done the last, I believe, 3 years. 12A is to accept the resignation of Jeanette Gray as a cafeteria staff member, effective back on November 10th. If you recall, we had just recently hired Mrs. Gray on October 1st. And so circumstances change, and that we see that happens quite often, especially on our classified staff, when they have to wait to the end of the school year to resign or to find employment elsewhere. We want to thank her for her time here. She was a good team member. Next, this is the updated, 13A, the updated supplemental contracts. So you're going to see scorers, announcers, scoreboard operators for winter sports. You do have choreographer. You're going to notice that there's a choreographer position for the 24-25 school year. That was last year.
Yeah.
We had somebody who did this, and we had not paid them because we didn't have an official position. We've had choreographers in the past, and the mechanism for paying them has not been as clean as auditors would like, and so we did an MOU at the last meeting to add that supplemental position to the chat contract, which then allows us to go back and retroactively pay this person that did the work last year, as opposed to using the other mechanisms to do that, which didn't really have set amount of money, and we weren't really sure, where the money was coming from, whether it was coming from donations or ticket sales or some other mechanism. So this cleans everything up for last school year. And then Mrs. Paws, formerly Mrs. Budzik, she got married over the summer, first grade teacher. She's been doing dance for over 20 years.
She's a
And
great
so she's
teacher.
going to be the choreographer. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see her out there dancing around with them. And then you have your cheer supervisor, your cheer advisor on there as well. All right, under 14, 14A. So this is, if you recall, last year we worked with Tri-C. They have a film program. It's an educational program, students who participate in the program. And they used our facility last year, and they did it in a very short period of time. I think they did it in an 8-hour period when we already had a custodian in the building, and I attended. I was here the entire day with them. As
You had a role.
I don't know. I don't think so. So they came back again, and they toured the school, and they said, "You guys are, a very desirable location. You're very education friendly, and we've appreciated that." And they said they would like to do this over President's Day weekend. And I said, "Well, that's a great time to be in the building, except we're not open on Sunday and Monday, which means I have to charge you, and in the rental agreement, it's $50 an hour times 31 hours. So I'm charging them, there's a rental fee. It's right here, it's an invoice for $1,550. And I still plan to be present in the building, as well as the custodian that would have to be here as well. I don't know if I'm going to stay 13-hour days, but I would be here. Like last year, I was appreciative of supporting an educational program at Tri-C. We actually, believe it or not, we have more students who attend Tri-C from Cuyahoga Heights than any other college in the last 8 years. They are the highest. Now, some of that could be because of some College Credit Plus overlap. Some kids do take some College Credit Plus there. And I don't have the exact statistics, but it's high, the number of students who overall attend Tri-C. So we have in the past for this group waived the big rental fee, but there are other fees like the custodian that I think it's fair that they don't really have a budget, so we're charging the university for that. Are there any questions? I know they've listed like 50 people, and it's a horror film, and it's a psycho thriller, and there's just a few different locations that I've walked through, and they would designate we're going to be here, here, and here. Film crew, lighting crew, costumes, makeup, actors, directors.
So just 3 parts of the building, 3 sections of the building?
So, yeah, there's a classroom up on the 3rd floor. There's the auditorium. And then there's believe it or not, the hallway that leads to the swimming pool. They love that. There's that L shape down there, and then there's windows
That could be scary.
and it's like the closing scene where the person is lying in bed, and I think I don't know if they're dying in their bed, but it's in this they want this nostalgic, like it's a 1970s hospital ward type of thing.
Yeah, that probably gives that vibe.
Yeah. I think if there's a 4th location, I believe it would be the old greenhouse upstairs, because they want to hang
Person?
sheets. No, not people. They would hang sheets from the water pipes that are there, and it would look like a makeshift, like you would see a hospital room in a war, like one of those medical tents or something like that. So,
Good for them.
and they've even had said they would, if interested, if we have any students who take I think we have a literature through film class. So if there are any students who would be interested in
Being an extra?
being an extra, or just being part of the process and learning about it, any of our students who may be interested. I know Mr. Hartman is a former film major, and I'm sure last year he came up for a little bit, and he's a film junkie as well. So, but it does cost. It's going to cost them some money this year, which they're well aware of.
So I brought this up before. I'm always concerned about security and what they may see in our building that maybe they shouldn't see, or things like that. If you're confident that they're going to be here to do what they say they're going to do and not have any ulterior motives.
Yeah, I was pretty clear with them about that. Like, I'm not gonna share any maps with them. They can't walk around and take random pictures of the place. When you're in an area, you're confined to that area. I said, you gotta let me, we're gonna have a plan, we're gonna map it all out. We need to know exactly what you need at what time, so that I have a custodian who can turn on this light, or, open up this door, and I would be here to help supervise that.
And I am in agreement that they should be charged, even though they weren't last time.
Yeah.
Because I think, they should be.
There has to be a fee, because we're,
I mean, when another entity, another school or something uses our facilities, we charge them.
yeah, I think there's a couple groups we don't charge. I think there's a music group that uses, isn't there somebody that uses our stage? What's the music, the dance or a music group that comes in, a community group? We don't charge them anything. But Trinity, we do. We have a special rate for
Yeah.
Trinity football.
Yeah.
So yeah, there needs to be a fee, and that's where you see the $1,500 this time for that. And it gives our basketball teams an opportunity to come in and practice, since the building's gonna be open, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
they'll be in on President's Day. Next, this is the revised interdistrict agreement with the ESC of Northeast Ohio for a substitute speech language pathologist for $18,000. So I want to explain this one. So Mrs. Scotton is out on parental leave. She's going to be out for approximately 75 days, work days. I believe, and I don't have the exact number, I believe when we had a substitute administrator, Mr. Kiefer filling in, he was about $400 a day is what we were paying him. So if you do the math of that, just quickly, 400 times approximately 75 is $30,000. So if I were to go out and, because we are bare bones when it comes to administration, we're right-sized, I'm not complaining, but right now we're down somebody, and it's noticed. So to get a substitute administrator would be at a minimum of $30,000, probably for a 75-day period, we're just estimating. Mrs. Cummins, who you saw tonight, she has an administrator license. She's our speech language pathologist. And so what we're proposing to do is shift her duty. She doesn't have a change in title. She's still the SLP. But she will be helping us with IEP meetings, 504 meetings, data meetings, absence intervention meetings, and maybe if there's some light discipline that comes our way, she can assist with that over at the elementary school. Mr. Burek has shifted his office over to the middle school, high school again, and he is playing part assistant principal again to, fill in the gaps while Mrs. Scotton is out. And she hasn't had the baby yet, but the baby's coming. Baby Theo's coming. But that's going to be through the end of March. And so what we're trying to do is fill some gaps that are necessities without spending too much money. And so a speech language pathologist twice a week will be able to pick up Mrs. Cummins'
That's what you're
caseload,
doing.
and that would cost us an additional $18,000 for twice a week for the next, I think it's up to 60 days that you put in there. And so that's a way that we can get somebody here to help us with the administrative overflow, but also understanding that we would be saving money should we go out and get, an administrator. ESCs typically charge you $400 to $500 for an administrator per day.
And it's better to have someone in-house do it instead of getting someone out who would be
Yeah.
new to the district.
And that's why she knows the kids over there, and so let's keep them over there, and it's natural for her. She works already with, because she provides some IEP services. She understands the IEP process, the 504 process. She understands attendance and intervention and running data meetings. Mr. Burek coming over here can support then Mr. Dietre and the teachers with, some overflow discipline that happens, or if there's discipline taking place, he can fill in other ways, whether it's in the cafeteria or running a parent meeting, the same type of things over here. And I'll do the same thing. as best as I can. So we're all trying to just jump in and save as much money as possible without sacrificing services for kids and support for the staff as well. So that's what we did there, if that makes sense.
I just have a question.
Sure.
I'm supportive of what you're doing because there's still a lot of work to do, and we've said before, like, even though we're a small school, the paperwork is the same, right? There's still a lot of admin duties, so I'm not minimizing that. I just recall that when we hired the athletic director, he had an admin license, or we thought maybe he could
He
help.
did, and that was intentional as well,
Yeah.
because he has actually,
He's helped out.
He
he has
is as
helped
well,
done
okay.
intake of certain.
He has a full-time job as well, so I'm
He
not,
does.
yeah.
But that was also what was very appealing about him in that position, is not only did he know athletics, he had been a high school and a middle school principal, and so had an active license, and we knew that this was a possibility. And
Yeah.
so he is also providing
Okay.
support as well. He's done a nice job with some intake of discipline. Hey, come in here, write a statement for me. I'm gonna take care of this. You know, he's done a really nice job of that too,
Just
so.
calling parents and having those discussions are a big part of it, you know, so.
Yeah.
The initial part is only the short part of it, it's all the stuff that happens, goes around.
Yeah.
Different things that kind of pop up, but, again, this is our plan we're trying to do now, and, you know, again, everybody's comfortable with one another and what the roles are, and our goal is to go forward and do the best we can and keep things steady, while she's out.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is I've been the middle school, high school principal. I was a pseudo elementary principal here for a while, you know. You've been in the middle school, high school, you've been in the elementary schools, so we understand how the operations of things are. So we think we can do this without hiring a full-blown sub.
Yeah.
We think we can do this really well with the people we have. Won't be perfect. It'll be perfectly imperfect. So, but that's.
We do.
That's the rationale behind there, and the person who will be doing that, Elise Gastel. I think Elise's mom was an intervention specialist at the elementary school, Mrs. Gastel. I think she retired from there, so there's a little bit of a family connection there. Letter C, this is an agreement with Collins Equipment Corporation to replace the district fuel management system at a cost of $18,584. Wanted to explain that. So we had actually anticipated for a while the need to replace this system. It's a 1990s system that was running on a Windows XP computer that was no longer connected to our network. The only time we connected it to our network was when we absolutely had to do updates or exchange data with a third party who was managing this system. It was the most vulnerable piece of equipment we have to a cyber attack, is that Windows XP computer, which is why it is always offline with its dot matrix printer until it absolutely has to be. And we have the full capabilities internally to manage that system if we have control of the system, which we do not. You know, the ability to in-house monitor the system will lower our maintenance costs on it. The ability to manage the software and the device itself and have it on our system is huge. We're going to get real-time data. We're going to be able to get reports much more accurately and frequently. The long-term value, we've spent $27,419 on that system since 2017. Our annual monitoring service is $2,100, and we can do all that internally now. And so we had estimated through our capital improvement plan that we worked on with the BEST committee that in fiscal year '26 we would have to spend approximately $16,000 on that. That was our closest estimate that we had the prior time. We'd gotten an estimate a couple years earlier. It came in at $18,584. I believe there was a second quote that was from Fuel Management Consulting at $31,500.
That's the company that currently.
That's the company that's currently monitoring the system. So if we were to upgrade with them, it would be much more substantial. So we feel it was a necessity enough to put it on the capital improvement plan last year. And we're at a point where it really does need to be replaced. The vulnerabilities to basically no firewall and opening ourselves up to the world only takes the speed of light in order to get in.
Another improvement is, currently, it's a keypad to type in, to access. This will be fobbable, so staff IDs. you
Yeah.
swipe. So a little more secure as far as, if I told you my number, could you,
Yep.
really tell who's doing it?
Yeah, we're accurately and efficiently going to know what driver is filling up what vehicle at what time of day, how much fuel did they put in, when did they stop putting the fuel in, how often are they putting fuel in their bus, how much are we spending on trips, how much are we spending on routine routes. All those things could be managed, through that particular system. So that's that particular cost. And the last time we did this was in the 1990s. So I think we'll all be pretty seasoned by the time this request comes around again.
Seasoned?
Well, we'll be seasoned veterans at this point. I mean, can't imagine what we'll be doing in 30 years.
I'm still breathing.
Gary, I have no doubt. I have no doubt. Gary Suchaki, Board of Education, 70 years and running. I have no doubt. Finally, we have the motion to approve the 12-month lease with Quadient for our new postage meters. We are currently with Pitney Bowes, and I had put in the board update that switching to this particular company is going to save us $2,800 a year. It says this is significantly lower than the current $2,800 per year, so this is going to save us $1,200 a year.
Okay.
So it's thanks to Mrs. Martin for doing the work on this. I know she has been monitoring our postage machines for quite a few years, and this is an opportunity to switch to a lower lease rate. So that's all I have for items to approve.
Okay, anything else for discussion? Having none, we'll have treasurer please call the roll.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Ms. Prowse.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. We're moving into 16. Superintendent's discussion and comment.
Yeah, I'll try not to take up too much time. I know Mr. Muccio had wanted to talk a little bit about the property tax bills. It was a big theme down at OSBA. We know that the Senate is potentially voting on 4 bills tonight that I'd like to tell you it's going to provide long-term property tax relief. They will not
Oh, yeah.
provide long-term property tax relief. House Bill 186, which is capping your 20 mil floor folks. Is that correct? Yeah, the 20 mil floor folks is going to be capping their inflationary increase. And it's a retroactive bill. So it's going to, districts that are on a 20 mil floor are not just going to have an adjustment for the upcoming 2 tax years, but they're going to go back 2 tax years. And I know I believe that's going to have an effect, Gary, on your career center. I mean, when I was looking at one of the simulations, I want to say there's about $148,000 a year the career center is going to lose or have to give back. What's that?
Now you see that.
Yeah, I think it's down here. So I know the Career Center is going to be affected when I look at the Cuyahoga Valley Career Center. We're not affected by this. We are not. We're not on the 20 mil floor. Looks like potentially $163,000 and $144,000. Have to talk to Mr. Mangus about that, but it's not going to affect us in Cuyahoga Heights directly. Everything has an indirect impact. House Bill 335, that goes after your inside millage. This will have an effect on us. This is going to increase the rate at which our inside millage increases. Former Representative Bill Seitz did a nice job of explaining some of these disparities with these particular bills, as well as just some of the laws in general. So for example, you're on a 20 mil floor. Over the years, you've been able to increase each year with inflation. Your amount you collect goes up. Well, that doesn't happen when you're not on a 20 mil floor, okay? So those people have seen rates go up, 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 all right? Now, that's put a stress, especially on your farming communities, right, where they're land rich and money poor, so to speak. But districts like us, we were sitting there frozen with House Bill 920. You know, if House Bill 920 could be unfrozen, and that could be allowed to even incrementally increase at the rate of inflation year after year after year, you wouldn't go for a levy. My goodness, we wouldn't have gone for a levy here for the last 25 years, probably 30 years, had 920 not been in effect. But it is, and that affects districts that are not on the 20 mil floor. Well, now districts on the 20 mil floor are going to get a lot slower amount of growth than they've been used to in the past. 335 does the same thing for inside millage, not just for school districts. It's going to do the same thing for your village governments, your city governments as well that rely on inside millage. So that's going to have a little bit of a sting for all of us. House Bill 129, this redefines what levies count in the 20 mil floor. They had emergency levies and substitute levies, which could be stacked on top of your 20 mil floor. Now those have to be included in the 20 mil floor. So, and there's only going to be a one-time renewal, which doesn't make sense because those emergency levies were passed at lower rates compared to today. So if something that was passed 5 years ago has an effective millage that's dropping. Well, they're going to allow those districts to renew those one time, and so then if they need more money, they're going to have to go for a levy at today's rates. Well, that's going to burden your taxpayers more than the old levy.
Right.
But they don't want to hear that. And then you've got, I believe it's House Bill 309, which gives more power to your people, the budget commission of your counties, who
Great,
can,
perfect.
who then
Good.
can arbitrarily start reducing the property taxation. So, if they figure it out, yeah, they have to figure it out. Well, and I got to be honest. Early on, we were concerned about that. We were like, did they withhold $2 million from us because either they thought we
They
had too much of
could,
a
yeah.
cash carryover cap, or are they doing something that they think is already coming, and they're going to use us as we didn't know. Like we were literally asking ourselves, are they just withholding money because they can?
We don't elect our budget commission, do we?
No, there are two entities in Ohio that fall outside of this. Chris Ronayne is the county executive for Cuyahoga County.
Yeah.
So, and I had that someplace.
But the budget commission itself is not.
No.
Nope.
I'm just checking, because we do democratically decide, yes, I want to pay more taxes. And now this entity that's independent can come in and decide,
Right.
no, you voters were wrong.
They can.
We are going to decide
Right.
what money is going to get paid. That seems absurd to me.
And that was a big point of contention, I believe I was reading today or yesterday or this week as this was making its way through the legislature, that the opposition was saying that, wait a second, this takes away people's voices
Yeah.
by giving it more to other people after they've approved it. So, yeah, essentially that.
Yeah,
All
so look for those 4 bills may be voted on tonight.
Oh, great.
And again, there will be an effect on Cuyahoga Heights with respect to 335. Those others don't directly affect us, but there's a domino effect that happens. You know, there are districts around us, for example, I believe Independence, they have one of their classes at the 20 mil floor. So that's going to affect Independence. Well, they're a neighbor of ours, so you don't know what that means for that school district.
Yeah.
And there's, again, same with emergency levies, which they're going to change those to fix some levies, the name of those. Brooklyn has, I believe, 3 of those. All right, well, they'll get one-time renewal, but then that money comes off. Well, what's that going to mean to the Brooklyn School District? Are they going to have to lay off teachers? Well, if they're laying off teachers, or if they're laying off bus drivers or whatever, we have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Because maybe with that, we take advantage of that. Or maybe there are other effects that we haven't anticipated. So, we need to watch out for that. We need to watch out for the grassroots effort to eliminate property tax in the state of Ohio, which they talked about that. Bill Seitz mentioned that at the Alliance Luncheon. And I was glad he hit some of the same points that I had given to the board in some of my communications that will eventually come out about the property tax elimination effort, that your income tax in Ohio is going to go from 2 point something, 2.75 or somewhere there, to between 2 and 3% to over 10% if you eliminate property tax. And sales tax will go up to approximately 20%. Nobody will ever buy anything again in the state of Ohio. Okay? They will never buy anything again in the state of Ohio at 20% sales tax. So people love the idea of not paying taxes, but if you call 911, it's going to take 3 times longer to get there. A lot of your services are going to go away. Senior citizen services, social services, library services are going to be reduced. Schools are going to take an impact. You know, police and fire EMS will all take an impact. So you got $24 billion that property tax pays for in Ohio. $24 billion worth of services. You still have to come up with $24 billion. And it's something that the folks that are pushing this, they don't have that solution. And maybe they don't want to have a solution.
No, they just
Maybe
want to
it
make
is-
sure that they reduce property taxes or got rid of property
Well,
taxes.
or maybe it's forced, so that's why you see these 4 bills. This is the state legislature trying to have a response to that particular effort. They can say, look, we've done something for you. Problem is what they're doing is very short-lived and has almost no effect in this school district. People will still ask me, because I know Mrs. Etter, you want me to do a tour of speaking. They will ask, well, why aren't we getting property tax relief? You're passing all these bills, why is that not effect? Well, because quite honestly, our taxes are already low, and all of these bills, they weren't intended for us. Well, but we still want property tax relief. So we come along, we ask for another, levy in, a handful of years. Well, we're not going to vote for that because that is our own way of getting property tax relief. Okay, so everything has an effect. But it was a good conference. You learn a lot of things out at OSBA, and all I can say is stay tuned. We're going to have to continue to watch every single piece of legislation because there are some things proposed for the future that are honestly quite scary for school districts, and we know that there's a lot of rhetoric about consolidation of governments, consolidation of village services, consolidation of schools, and so on and so forth. And if you love your Friday night lights, where you have Friday night lights, then you better start paying attention because if some of these people get their way, there's going to be an awful lot of empty, dark stadiums on Friday nights.
And as you always remind us, it's not just schools, it is governments, and we are made of 3 small communities that they would certainly be on their list to do that. So it will not just impact our school, it will impact our communities as well.
Absolutely. So, and next week is fall break. So if you weren't aware, your kids will be home on Monday. So you
I got my paper.
You got to prepare for that starting Monday. Your kids will be home for fall break. We got 2 staff professional development days, and after that, I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So I think I'll stop there because we're already at 8:46. We still have board policies.
Yes. And we have about 50 board, well, not many.
It's not as
about
bad as it
30,
looks.
I think.
It's not as bad as it looks.
So speaking of board policy, section 17, those items are new ones, right, that we need to review?
Right, so there were 3 that we didn't bring last time because these are in the finance category, the 6,000. So, Mr. Muccio, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about these. These are just the first reading for these. They will not be voted on until the next meeting if everybody so chooses. You've got 1 new policy, and then you have 2 policies, 1 a technical correction, 1 a revised policy. So let me pull these up here. So the first policy.
These are all already updated, right?
Yeah,
Notes? Okay.
yeah, the notes are already in here.
Gotcha. Yeah, this first one deals with credit cards, making payments from credit cards.
But it doesn't have an amount in that first line.
Right, and we intentionally.
It's intentional.
Right,
Okay.
we kept that blank because we didn't want to box ourselves in with any amount that we have. So we wanted to leave it open-ended. So as you read through it, take your time just to see. In the next paragraph, we didn't, select any of those. We didn't want to say yes to some, no to others. We felt more leeway, allows for, better processes that we have. But take your time, read through it.
If you have 3 tuition
If you have
students and you
questions.
have, let's say you have $18,000 in tuition. If they want to pay $18,000 in tuition with a credit card, pay it. That's why you don't see a number there. If we limit it to $5,000, then if you've got multiple kids, you may have to come in and make, multiple transactions.
Yeah.
And then, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, are there other credit cards out there than those? Are there other ways to pay? Do you have an Apple credit card? Are we going to say, well, you have an Apple credit card, I'm sorry, your credit's no good here because we like Samsung or something else. So it's not that by checking those, it boxes you in, but by not checking them, doesn't mean that you can't still, put some restrictions
And you know
internally.
right away if it doesn't go through, right? Or kind of, or
In time.
in time?
Do we get charged a fee to use a credit card, right?
There is a fee charged.
Do we up do we have the parents do that, or do we cover it?
Yeah,
So you use Pay Schools, I think is how you process credit card payments.
correct.
So,
Oh, yeah, there's.
it's the same way that you do for your lunches, so you see a little fee added on,
Yep.
it goes on to the consumer, not the schools.
That's right.
So,
So that was a quick policy.
That's the
Yeah, there
first
wasn't
one,
much
quick.
there.
second one was student fees, fines, and charges. We last revised this in 2020, November. I don't think we made any changes to this other than item 10 at the top of the second page was added for driver's education fee, which we don't have, driver's ed. And I think other than that,
Yeah, you can see there were just changes, like his and her is just the staff member, or they reference policy 6109, because it's a new policy, which we just went over. So there's just some technical corrections there, not anything major. Technical means they're just changing some of the language. There's nothing substantially new to that. And then this one is it says revised, but we didn't have this policy on the books, did we?
No.
So it's actually new to us, although it's a revision, which is kind of surprising that we didn't have an audit policy.
oh, kind of funny too, because we asked Neola to do an audit of all the policies we don't have.
Yeah.
So why didn't the audit come up in that audit?
Yeah,
Notify us.
exactly.
So, to the first green highlight that we have, it talks about the independent certified public account or the state auditor's office prepares and publishes our statements. We hire LGS, Local Government Services of the Auditor State's Office to do our gap conversion, create our financial statements, which get audited by the state, so we have that there. Now, Matt and myself talked for a good while on the second blank that we have, and this was interesting too, and it didn't make sense to me. It really didn't make sense to you, so neither of us. But that second blank talks about having the financial statements, so it talks about the independent certified public account, or we have to fix or, it says OT.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
we'll fix that. Yeah,
Or
it
the
should say
state
or.
auditor's office shall also prepare and publish an audited statement of the financial condition of the district at the close of each fiscal year, on or before blank of the next succeeding fiscal year. Well, the Auditor State's Office, audits all of those financial statements that are done, and then they issue the audit report once it's done. Now, a couple of years ago, if we remember, and Mr. Goldman was our auditor, that during the COVID time lasted years, so that wasn't issued timely. So we didn't want to put a date there because it's all subjective to the Auditor State's Office whenever they release that. And that's how we read this. So we felt we couldn't really input a date. And we were talking about, well, who actually created this policy? Because I'm not sure if they know that or not. So we left it blank because any date, can just get bypassed by the Auditor State's Office because, COVID taught us that, one of the lessons from COVID was that they have carte blanche on whenever they can release an audit. And we were asking, the Auditor State's Office, how you guys doing? And they're like, we're working on this too, COVID's hitting everybody, so we just delayed that one for a time. And then, we have a check mark here for it makes sense, findings for recovery should be reported to the super treasurer. We left audit committee blank because we don't meet too much on a regular basis, but we can always modify that. And then the last one we check mark too. The second one we left blank, where it says, in the event an audit indicates a finding for recovery involving shortage of funds, finding for recovery should be made against the employee who directly handled the cash checks, money orders, or other forms of payment. Well, a lot of times, kids do fundraisers and give the cash to the student activity advisor, who in turn gives the cash to our office, and we deposit it. We felt we didn't want to have anything concrete in place, but we'd rather, investigate as the super treasurer if any money's missing, because we didn't want to, if that activity advisor's like, wait a sec, I was just taking it and something happened. We'd rather have more leeway if something goes missing, like, if, there's, somebody miscounts or something like that. We wanted the option.
Which has happened.
Yeah.
Case by
Oh,
case
yeah.
basis.
And that's expected. I mean, student fundraisers, there's always going to be discount. In the, let's see, we're on our third one. We checkmarked that one because it makes sense as you guys read through. And the last one, any funding for recovery should be reported to and jointly made against the district's bonding company. We felt we didn't want to select that one because the bonding company is only used for certain employees. Insurance is used for others. We figured that, why didn't they include insurance? And we felt that, it kind of boxes us in that way. It didn't make sense. But as you guys read through, if you have suggestions, absolutely.
Okay. Any commentary on that? All right, moving on then. Section 18, these are the policies that we discussed last meeting, and there's A through V, and they're up tonight for approval.
Yep. And they're all based on House Bill 96, which is the biennial budget, the House Bill 54, which is the transportation budget, and then federal regulatory changes. Anything that was checked in there was consistent with what we already had in place, but then aligned to these new laws. So, and then nothing has changed since the first time you read through these. So,
Okay.
quite a few policies here, but we went through those in detail last time.
Anybody have any questions about those items? None? Okay, then we'll move into section 18, which is approval of the board's business, which means we're going to accept all of those items. Entertain a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dobbins.
Second?
Okay. Second by Ms. Decker. Since there's no further discussion, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Mrs. Zetter.
Aye.
Ms. Prowse.
Aye.
Mr. Souchak.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Those policies have been adopted. Board discussion and comments. Review board meeting calendar.
Yeah, so this is a draft calendar, and it's not something that even has to be voted on until the organizational meeting, especially because you will have 3 new board members who may want to weigh in on this. There's an opportunity for you to view this now. This is fairly aligned with what we had last year. The only meeting we know for sure has to happen is a meeting on the 7th. That's the organizational meeting, and from there, we have 2 meetings a month. You see there every other week from that point until you get into a month like April, where you've got 3 Wednesdays. You're not going to have it on the 1st, but you could have it on the 15th and the 29th instead of the 8th and the 22nd. There's always going to be a time when you got a 3-week gap in there. You get into the summertime, typically done just 1 meeting in July, but as you guys know, in the past, I think the past 2 years, we had to add another meeting. I think we had a 3rd meeting to June this past year because of the budget. And the prior year, we added a meeting to July because of ratifying the Chase contract. So it's not uncommon for us, even though you got 1 meeting published, to have to add meetings along the way. Also, work sessions are at 6 o'clock p.m., as we have standardized that. Regular meetings are at 7 o'clock p.m. Nothing stops the board from saying, well, we're going to do 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Just please don't go to 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, please, at nighttime. to push meetings, but, the new board may say, we're just gonna standardize all times at 6 o'clock because we feel this is best for X reasons. Although this has been pretty standard, this has been the schedule since I've been here, 11 years, so. it hasn't
6
changed.
o'clock is relatively new. They were all at 7 before.
That was what? That was a post-COVID thing. I think COVID, we moved the work session up because we weren't doing students in the month. We moved it up to 6 o'clock.
And it's easier on the administrators because you guys are here from 6 in the morning, and then, you got an evening meeting starting at 7. We get you home a little earlier.
Sunlight is optional in the wintertime, Gary. Like,
Starting at 5 o'clock, what's the
I have a bottle of vitamin D I've started to take the last couple of years because you just don't see the sun.
So
No,
far-
but it's okay, though. It's okay. But this is just to review, so it's not something to vote on tonight.
No, so incoming board members, be aware that if 6 and 7 are confusing or difficult, that January will be the time to discuss that, because this
Yep.
does not get approved tonight.
Even the agenda review, we've been doing that. That's been part of our practice, to review that on typically the Thursdays of the week prior. If you find those are beneficial and we should keep doing those, then that's something to consider. If you feel that those are unnecessary and you don't want to do those, then that's something then the new board can decide to as well. Again, I don't have strong opinions one way or another.
And those are rotating through, just two of us.
Yeah, those rotate, so it's not the same two people. But I love meetings about meetings.
pre-meeting before the meeting.
I do. I have a mug that says that. I said I love meetings about meetings and more meetings. So I do have that coffee mug.
Yep.
But that's all that is. That's for discussion. And any other comments?
Okay, I don't have anything for tonight. I think that's.
No.
No, we got three
Take a look.
new people coming in January. They're the ones who have to live by the schedule, along with a couple of us left over, so. All right, so we can move on to 21, future agenda items. Oh, wait a minute, I skipped 20, board discussion and comments. Well, I don't want to add too much to the length of the meeting, but I do have a couple of things that have come up recently, so. There was, of course, Capital Conference. I'm not going to, taxation was probably the number one conversation item everywhere you went in Capital Conference. It felt that way anyway. Howard Fleeter had a field day. He commented that the cash carryover cap was the most ridiculous, and I don't remember his exact wording, but it was pretty negative, strongly negative, ridiculous thing he's ever seen come out of Columbus. He could not say enough negative things about that item. He said, and I have part of his presentation here. I'm going to bring it back up. Give me a second, please. He said, he went into, and I'm going to take just part of his 2-hour presentation. Ohio property tax overview. We're in the midst of what appears to be a revolt. In spite of the fact that in 1976 we passed House Bill 920, which says if you vote on a tax issue and inflation goes up, then the amount you collect the rate goes down, so that the amount that you voted on is fixed. It's the dollar amount that's fixed and not the rate that's fixed. No other state in the country has anything like that. We are the only ones. But in spite of that, we have a real problem. And of course, the main issue is the state is not paying as much as they used to. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, fiscal '27, the state share percentage-wise will be 32%. The state will be contributing 32% of the budget to public schools. In the late 1990s, when the DeRolf case was litigated and it was found to be unconstitutional, the way we fund schools,
Right.
it was at 47%.
So instead of following the DeRolf case and providing more money for education, they continue to provide less year after year after year after
And
year.
the beneficiaries
why
of
our
that are your
property taxes-
taxpayers who have to make up the gap. They're making up a 15% gap,
Right.
all right, from where it was 30 years ago.
And that's why our property taxes are so high. And not only that, but Ohio, in addition to education, Ohio funds and delivers more services at the local level than most states. Also, the property tax burden is shifting toward homeowners and away from businesses. When you put all that together,
There are over 4,000 governments in Ohio,
you know,
counting all your municipalities, your villages, your cities, your schools, your libraries, other services, over 4,000,
right,
all supported by property taxes.
yeah. Ohio ranks 43rd in state taxes per capita and 44th as a percentage of personal income. So the state is not doing any taxing, is what it comes down to. The state is not trying to level things out across the communities. They're saying, you guys want it, you pay for it personally. We're not going to come and help. That's not our job. So, no other state does it that way, only Ohio. We are the 8th highest in property taxes, ranked 35th in our nationally in the state share of K through 12 funding, which is below the national average. 11 points below the national average. We've fallen from 24th in state revenue per pupil to 41st over the last 20 years, and from 15th in per pupil education spending to 20th. So it's pretty clear why we have a property tax revolt. And Howard spent a lot of time on, here's why it's happening, folks. And until we get a whole new set of state legislators, it's going to stay that way. It's not getting any better. They aren't showing any move to
And there's
try
no
to fix
movement to
this.
help out your senior citizens
And there's
with,
nothing
with
for
your homestead exemptions. There's very little.
Right.
But yet the increase in the voucher program, which again, this isn't about school choice, this is about the money. Where is the money going to students who can't afford it so they can get a better education because they live in failing school districts? It's not. You have almost 100% of private school students now receiving some degree of funding. Most of those students can already, their families can afford it. And the income tax has provided the most relief for the wealthiest 2% in the state of Ohio.
Right.
So those are facts. Those are facts that Dr. Howard Fleeter, I can't remember his partner who wrote the report,
I don't recall
the
the name of it.
OEPI report. Really smart people. They even came up with solutions for how we can maybe start addressing this. It's just being ignored. So
It was a difficult presentation to listen to, but enlightening. I mean, some of his graphs show growth of certain things, and then all of a sudden, 2 years ago, the amount of money spent on vouchers, which is, I mean, some of the most challenged districts, like Cleveland, have had vouchers for 20 years. But you see the chart where the voucher spending grows slightly, and then all of a sudden, just goes like that, all at once. So that's part of the problem too. He had nothing good to say. It was very difficult to listen. So anyhow, so that was part of this is not my favorite Capitol Conference. Starting out with, hey, it was first thing in the morning too on Monday. It was the first presentation. So from there, I went to the delegate assembly in the afternoon. That was scheduled for 2.5 hours. It went for almost 3.5. It was the second longest meeting I've sat through. 3 years ago was just as long. And once again, there was a lot of controversy because I can't remember the district that did it. Berea. Berea put forth a suggested change to the OSBA, what's the right term?
Platform?
Platform, thank you, platform. And they wanted to add in a section that talked about making sure that people were being treated fairly, students are being treated fairly. They wanted to add sexual orientation, gender identity, and religion. Wanted legislation supporting specifically those items because those items tend to be problematic, right? They put that out there. Commentary on that item alone must have lasted 45 minutes. One person after another kept coming to the microphone. I'm going to forget his name, from ESC, one of the ESC board members called the question. When you call the question, that means you're supposed to stop discussion immediately and take a vote. And the people running the meeting decided, well, we'll call the question, but there's 3 people in that line and there's 3 people in this line. We're going to give each of them their 3 minutes. So that added 18 minutes right there. Right? And then, when he tried to call the question again, he came back and tried to call it again. Then they said, well, we got 2 people over there. They added more people to the line. I mean, this went on forever. Finally, I mean, the only time that people got positive excitement was when they cheered for the eventual calling of the question so we could take the vote. So we took a vote on whether or not we should consider the amendment. Because there were 2 competing amendments.
Sure.
Which were written by people who were much different alignment. And they rewrote the whole section to their liking. So we had to go through each of those amendments and then vote on whether to consider those. So we had 3 votes. One of them passed, the other 2 failed, so those 2 were off the table. Then we had to have a vote on the one that survived. And each of these were a hand count of 300 members, 303 people in the room. So they went around and counted who had the card up.
Poor Gary.
Wow.
There were a lot of people
It's fairly
who were
inefficient.
not happy.
Sounds very inefficient.
It was extremely inefficient, very poorly conducted by the people running the meeting. You know, why they didn't have a time limit on how long the discussion could even go. You could have had an infinite number of people. You know, until we called the question, they were going to, we may still be there. Anyhow.
So Gary's not gonna do it again next year, somebody else is gonna.
I had no
do it.
choice this year because none of you were there. I was the only one.
Gary, there's your voucher graph.
Thank you.
That's the amount of money spent on vouchers, how it's changed in the last 3 years. And then there's the number of students who have participated, so,
Yeah, right. And the number of people has not changed.
yeah.
That's a good point. I'm glad you put that up there because the number of people who are in private schools has not grown. Only the vouchers have grown.
So people that were already going. or
People
had-
were already going, simply decided to ask for the vouchers, which meant, and Howard kept coming back to this, those people could afford to pay those tuitions. That was a choice they made.
Yeah,
We don't have a
That's why we
choice.
call it
We
a
have
choice.
to educate the other 90% of the students in the
yeah, and
state.
we've been asked quite often, because we have a tuition program, so we're obviously for school choice, because we have a lot of families that choose our schools, so we would, it wouldn't make sense for us to necessarily oppose it, but what we
No.
cannot do is
We don't get a voucher.
we cannot accept the voucher. We've been asked, in fact, you received an email the other day asking about if we accept, they heard that Cuyahoga Heights accepts vouchers, and which we cannot, because we're a public school.
Right.
And if we were to go to open enrollment, which I'm not saying I'm in support of open enrollment, if the state were to mandate open enrollment, the way it is
Possibility.
now, we would only to receive per pupil what we receive for students who are residents, which is around $1,000 a student, so, you know, which is less than what we charge for
And less than
tuition.
all
So
those
an open
vouchers.
enrollment would actually decimate
Right.
us, not just, we still have kids, but we would lose approximately $800,000 a year.
Right.
So it'd be another $1 million chip, you know, take,
So
so
there was
it's,
not-
yeah, there's a lot going on there, so.
There's a lot going on. It's a very, very challenging time, to say the least. So anyhow, but today I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting. This week is really strange. Every year I go through this. You go down to Columbus for 3 days, and then the very next day you have the Chamber of Commerce State of the Communities. So Seven Hills, Independence, Brooklyn Heights, Valley View, and technically Cuyahoga Heights, who never counts, can all give presentations on how their communities are doing. And Mike Prosuck, when he did his, spent a significant amount of time complimenting Brooklyn Heights and the Career Center because of the student who is attending the Career Center, one of our students attending the Career Center, who is working an internship in Brooklyn Heights in the service department, and how well that is going. And that was done by Joe Platos, who's a graduate of CVCC, working with Jamie Yaks, who's the automotive instructor at CVCC. Those two were classmates at CVCC. And they came up with this together. And Mike just talked, he probably spent 5 or 6 minutes talking about this program and how positive it was, how nice it was to see a young community member actually earning money during his high school years, becoming a bigger part of the community, growing and moving things forward. And it sounds like other districts want to try to do similar things now. So, once again, we're at the forefront, folks.
And Mr. Blados was previously employed here at the district.
And he was employed here at the district at one time.
Yep.
Right. He was our mechanic.
Right.
So, and he was also a councilman in Brooklyn Heights at one point, so. It was just so, out of today's Chamber of Commerce meeting, a lot of offsetting happiness, a lot of positive information. The next CVCC meeting is not until December. We don't even meet in November because we normally meet the fourth Thursday, and that's Thanksgiving, so we just skip it and can't go too late in December, so we have an early December meeting. So that'll be our next meeting, so I don't have any update from the Career Center itself, and I think that's all I had. Sorry, I took over 10 minutes. I didn't mean to. My apologies. I got a little excited about that, though. Okay, anything else? All right, possible future agenda item? It should be noted, the Board of Education members received their agenda several days prior to the actual meeting and have had considerable opportunity to study and so on. Agenda information, upcoming regular meetings. Wednesday, December 10th at 7 p.m., a regular meeting, and then after that, the next one is Wednesday, January 7th, our organizational meeting at 7 o'clock.
So both of those, it'd be easy to confuse that, because they're the first meetings of the month.
Yeah.
They're typically at 6. These are both at 7.
These are both at 7.
December is our only meeting, so it is the regular session.
Right.
So we will do students of the month there, and that's a 7 o'clock meeting, and then organizational meetings.
So we have no 6 o'clock meetings on the schedule.
Oh, we're gonna do students of the month in December.
Yeah, we did that last year, rather than skipping. Yep,
Mhm.
we did.
Yeah, works better that way.
Yeah, it's tough to, when you start doubling up, you,
It takes, yeah, it's a long.
takes,
take a long
takes
And we don't
longer.
all fit in here. Oh, that's right, maybe that's why we didn't,
Yeah.
we couldn't fit two, yeah.
And,
Okay, perfect.
and that will be an important meeting, that December meeting. As I look at, I'm trying to see, there we are, and I can see all three faces of that I will not be sitting at this table after that December meeting. It's your last opportunity to sit up here, folks.
You guys are gonna be, the
You want me
first
to
and
run the
second
last
of every
meeting?
motion, you know, your last
Are you saying
chance.
that?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, because if you want me to run the last meeting, I'll run the last meeting.
Maria, no, we do not want you to run those.
Thank you for interjecting that point.
She just
And,
begs
it,
her
and,
down.
and with that, I think we ought to accept the motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dobbins. I'll
Second.
who's that? Okay. Second by Ms. Proust. Any discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Dobbins? Ms. Prouse?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki?
Motion passes 5-0. It's 9:16 p.m. and we are adjourned.